Today's episode is made possible through the support of the madman Mark McGough and dozens of other people on Patreon just like you. If you like what I do and you want to help me do better at it, check out the links below in the description, see how you can get involved in the Patreon, hanging out in the Discord, and just generally hanging out and being part of the fun. Thank you guys for everything you do. You're awesome. Hi there guys, welcome back to the shop. Today is Project Archie episode 19, where we're going to do the J2 encoder cable extension. And this one is very different from the last one, but a lot of the skills that you learned in the last one will apply over to this. It just gets different in that we're using a multi-conductor cable and some of the color codes get a little weird. So dig in, we're gonna go to work. All right, so some of the stuff you're gonna need is this cable. The Strive Day cable is what you need. This is the 26 gauge 4-conductor 5-meter gray cable. So we can just take it out of here and it's going to look like that. So if you strip it back a little bit, you can see that you've got 4 different wires inside, and you're going to have yellow, blue, black, and white. And then you can, as you remove the braiding around it, you can twist that together on one end and that becomes your ground. But this is the shield wire. On one end of the wire we're going to use this, on one end of the cable we're going to use this, on the other end you're just going to cut it off. You don't need it on both ends because, well, magic things happen, but we'll learn about that in a different video. If this is your first time working with this, we're actually going to add 4 inches to this in case we screw anything up. Now, I've never worked with this exact cable before, but I've worked with similar flavors to it. So I'm going to cut off 4 extra inches too. Now, the book calls for 22 inches. We're going to add 26, I think, is good. So I'm going to measure it out on the table here. 26 takes me up to there. And we'll just cut that right off. And we'll set that aside. So we've got 26 inches of our big gray cable. Now, your encoder lead should already be trimmed to 8 inches. If it isn't, then do that now. All right, so now that we've got everything cut to main length, it's time to dig in and do some wire splicing. All right, so for the first step here, we're going to take off, I'm gonna strip off a couple inches because I want to have enough room to operate here. And with these strippers, I can just do that. And then fight it a bit and it comes right off. So that's a nice advantage of those strippers. If you don't have that kind of stripper, you can do the exact same thing with a razor knife, a delicate hand, and a little bit of patience. So the first thing we see is we're totally covered in the shiny shielding, and this is actually a bunch of strands of really thin wire, and we'll bring all that back. Okay, just work them all out. You don't want to have any leftover ones down in here. Make sure they're all pulled back, and then twist them together in a bundle like this, and there you go. Okay, so you've got a nice clean bundle off the side, and now I'm going to do that on the other end of the cable too. Now this one has already been messed with a little bit, but we're just going to trim that off so it doesn't mess with me. And then we're going to come back a couple inches. And just pull all that right off. Okay. Same thing as the other end. We're going to separate these all out. Make sure we don't have any flyers. Give them a good twist. Now you don't need to twist this all the way down because on this end we're just going to cut the whole thing right off. Alright, so you end up with a clean end here and your 4 wires coming out. Now what we're going to do is splice these to it, but you'll notice that you have 5 wires here, 4 wires here, and the colors are a little different. It's all right, we got a plan. On our encoder, you've got brown, red, white, green, black. We're not even going to use green at all. We don't actually need that for this. So I'm going to try and remove the green wire right from the plug, because if we're not going to use it, we don't need to have it all the way down. The easy way to do this would be to just cut it off right at the back of the plug. But if you can work a little tool in there, like the end of a tweezer, you might be able, there's down in here, see that? Those little glimmers of metal? You don't see them on the other side. Those little glimmers of metal are actually fingers that dig in to the side of the case. They poke through that hole to keep the metal piece engaged in there. So if you push on it, you can pull the whole thing right out, and that little tab on the side is all that retains it in. So you can take the whole socket right out, and now if we end up changing our mind and having to use this wire in the future, we can come back and just slide that in and it'll lock back in place. But we can take it out and not have any danglies, and that's just cleaner. We're not going to use the green wire anyway, so we're set. Now you'll notice on both sides we've got red, black, and white. But on one we've got a brown, and on the other we got a yellow. So brown is going to splice to yellow. All the rest just go straight across. All right, so I'm going to cut and strip all these down about a 1/2 inch, because the length of my splices, and we're going to use pretty small splices. I think I can use greens on this. I think I can go all the way down to a green. Since I can go all the way down to a green, that's all the length of my splice, so that's all I have to strip off on here. So I'm going to prepare my little ferrule splice, same way we did in the last video. Exact same idea, because it worked well in the last video, and if it works, why mess with it? We're already there. And I've got, this is my thinner wire, this is my thicker wire. So I'm going to work from thick to thin, and we'll start with black. We started with black in the last one. It's tradition. You know what tradition is? It's an excuse against critical thinking. So we'll go over here, and we know that our connection is that long. So we'll line that up here. And that's about a 1/4 inch. So we'll go here and try and match it as best we can. And we're a little short. That'll do. Yeah, that'll be all right. We're just a hair long, and I can live with that. So now we're going to take our black wire here and do the same thing. And we'll strip that down. Oh, I wonder if I can go down to a white. Because the tinier I can go, the better. It really helps. Can we get red? I think red's pushing it, and there's no way I get orange. So orange is right out. Let's try white. Fits in the tube, fits up the wire. Alright. It'll fit in a white. I'm gonna try it with a white. Will it fit in a red? I think red won't work. But I got it to fit in a white. Because a smaller, you wanna use the smallest tube you can and still get actual engagement. Because if your tube's too big, it won't crimp right, and you're just wasting space. Yeah, I can't get them both in a red, but I can get them both in a white. So I'm going to trim a white. I'm going to, and you can see the white will actually fit inside the one we were using. We were going to use a green, so we're going to go to white. And open that up good. And we'll slip the white over here, or the crimp end over this end of the cable. We're working from the bundled data cable as opposed to the single wire, because we can slip things over that I'm about to have a problem and I don't know how to fix it. Yeah, I do. All right, I got a plan. I got a plan, I think. So this is black. I'm going to slip that. It's not going to, it might fit. All right. So I'm thinking things through here. Got some problem solving skills to use. We're going to have to take the black wire out. Now we're going to look at that and we see brown on the bottom and black on the top. So we're going to have to do these one at a time. So black's on top. We're going to put that in there. Or pop that out. Now if you're soldering them, you don't have to do this. But if you're doing them the way I'm doing it, you'll have to. I'm also going to pull that little tab out just a bit so that it grabs good next time. So the reason I got to take the black out of it is because my crimpers have to slip over the wire. And to get the crimpers to slip over, I can't have the plug on the bottom. So the first thing I'm going to do is from the end, because I got a nice solid end here. Will that fit? Or is it too big? It's too big. So we're going to slip our heat shrink over at this point because it'll be much more difficult to get over later. So we just put the heat shrink on there and run it down out of the way. And then I'm going to put my crimpers. I'll put my crimpers on the wire and leave that down and out of the way. And then, after all that's sorted, then I finally bring the two wires together. And it's just a matter of getting them both in the little tube. It's going to be super tight. But that's what you want. You want it to be really, really tight in there. And the trick is not having flyers, because if you have any strands that poke out to the side, it's going to mess with you. So I got them both in there. I'll bring my crimpers right up and around. Get my tube in my crimpers, make sure my wire's in both sides. And then I'm going to crimp that again and really squeeze it down. Tug test both sides and we're good. And then slide that off through the crimpers. Okay, now we're gonna, oh, that came out nice. That was hard to do, but it came out nice. A little tug test. And that's where you tug on each side of the joint just to make sure it's mechanically sound. And so now we know we've got a good mechanical and electrical bond. And then we bring our heat shrink down over it. Feel for where our splice is. We want to be about centered in that. And then add a little heat shrink it down. Look at that. That's lovely. I'm happy with it. Are you? I think it's good. Cool. All right. You've seen the process. Now that we've got that done, we go back up here, and if you look close, you'll see which side the little tab comes out. Line that up to the hole and engage it all the way up, and then give it a little tug and it'll be seated right. And now you're cool. So that's our black one. The next one is white, and I'm just going to work my way down the plug. Now with white, I skip the hole from green. So when you put this back together, these three should be together down here. So we're going to make sure to skip the green hole. But I'm just going to get a grip on that, come in with my tweezers, poke it, and pull it. And it'll come right out. Okay? And then while it's in my hand and I'm thinking about it, reach in under my little tab and bend that back. Just kick it out a little bit. You don't have to really reef on it or anything. So we've done it once. We've got a system worked out. We know what to do. I'm going to do it one more time on camera just so that you can see the step-by-step, and then I'll just bang out the other two. So we know we're going to use, I think it's white. Yeah, we're going to use the white joints, not the red. Red was too small. White's enough of a pain in the ass. It's certainly not the quickest, easiest way to do a splice. And if you can solder good, then, and you're more comfortable with that, then by all means, solder this. But my soldering skills are really quite terrible, so I'm going to do this the way I know how. Strip that off and really twist it down. And cut off that little flyer on the end. Okay. And then the white one here, which is a much finer wire. We're dealing with really tiny little wires on this. So since the wire on here is the bigger one, oh, I should put my heat shrink on there too. Put your heat shrink on before you get ahead of yourself. See, this isn't hard to do. There's just a lot of little steps. But the trick is, and this is true of whether you're building a robot or building a car or building a house, no matter what you're doing, with very rare exception, you can almost always break it down into simpler steps. So big, complicated things. You want to land a space shuttle? You can do that. You just got to break it down into small enough steps to where you can wrap your head around it. And you're going to be fine. You can land the space shuttle. Good luck though, they don't really fly so much anymore. And we're gonna get that in there. Way easier the second time. Squeeze that really good. Okay, and then we'll pull that all out. Give that a tug test, see if we're good. Look at the quality of that joint. That whole thing's only a 1/4 inch. It's tiny, but it's good. And then we're gonna slide our heat shrink down and over. And the heat shrink is perfect in that it just barely fits over the thing. And now we're right in the middle. Add some heat. That shrinks right down. It's kind of hard to see the white on white, but it looks good to me. Cool, that's our second one done. Now, as we remember, we got to skip the hole from black because that's where green went. So we're actually going in the middle here. And we're just going to run that right on in. And you'll actually feel it and hear it click. Tug test it and we're good. All right, guys, you've seen me do it twice, and I know how thrilling it was. I'm going to go and do red and brown. I'll bring you back in for a little bit of the brown just so you make sure you get your colors right. All right, so I wanted to get in with you guys here a second. We've got the brown wire off the plug. Okay, this is our encoder plug. The brown wire off of that actually connects to the yellow wire on the cable. And just because I'm snazzy and I had it, we got the yellow heat shrink. So, useful little tip here. See how I've got my grid on my table? You can use a grid to make sure that your joint is centered, and then just slide your heat shrink down over it, and then you know where your joint is even when you can't see it. See, that works out pretty good. And then we're just going to apply a little heat here, and we're all set. All right, that's all shrunk down, and that's our last connection. So with that, we come back to our end here, and we make sure our key's pointing the right way. Slide that in the hole. Go all the way down. Feel it click, hear it click, give it a tug test, and we're good. And now, that's our connector there with black, empty space, white, red, brown. Flip it over with the key up, it'll be like that. Okay. We've got 4 beautiful splices, and they all line up, and they're all good. And they're all really tiny. This will fit inside our sleeving later on. So that's the hard part done. All right, guys, you're in the home stretch now. You're going to need your 1/4-inch cable wrap and cut off a 5-inch piece of that. So I'll measure that out on my table. I don't like these cutters. But I like these cutters. All right. So cut off 5 inches of your cable wrap, and then we're going to heat the ends so they don't fray. Make sure to heat both ends and just melt them down a little bit. And then we're going to slide our cable. But I have an idea. I should have tried this last time and I didn't. I got a couple different tools that I think will work for this, and I'm going to try it, because if this works, it's going to make it a lot easier. Slide that right up there. And grab my wires on the end. And I'm going to slide that down over it. Get all the wires in there. That right over the thing. And this is much easier to pull up the thing, or push up the thing. And then I can just let go with my tool. And then just, this is just a pushing job. And it's way, way, way easier to push cable tie, or cable wrap, or whatever, cable sleeve? Cable sleeve. It's way easier to push than pull. I'm just going to run that right the way down to the end. Okay, so I did that with the encoder wires. Now I got to do it with the motor wires. And he's asking a lot of a little 1/4 inch thing, but I'm going to try it. I don't know if I've got the skills, but I'm going to try it. I'm going to do it for Mr. Annan, because he'd do it for us. Alright. Oh, that's a lot of shit to stuff up that tight. I have a doubt. I have a lot of doubt. But I'm going to try it. That's 10 pounds of shit in a 5-pound bag. Yep, it's the 1/4 inch braided stuff. I may have to do those wires individually. Even then, I don't know if I can do it. Alright, I'm going to separate these out into individual wires. I'm going to take my little label off. This is going to be tricky. Because that's a lot of stuff to cram up there. But I'm cramming. I'm cramming for Annan. Alright. Grab the wire. Pull it through. Alright. And we're going to take that all the way down. Okay. Reinsert my sleeve there. We're going to grab the red wire, pull it through right the way down. Okay. Now we'll tie green. Now this is probably not a tool that you have in your toolbox. It's kind of an obscure tool. It's a medical tool, like surgical tool. But I can grab on that end of the wire there really tight, and holding this end I can draw that right in and pull it out the other side. So anything you can fashion to work like that should work for you. I don't know how the hell Mr. Annan figured this out. I'd like to see, but this is my solution. It's certainly a shoehorn fit in there. Bite down tight, pull it on through, and we're out the other side. So they will fit. It can be done. I'm living proof of it, but it ain't easy. And then we slip that into there, and that's clipped. And we sort out our wires and make sure we got what we want where. And I'm going to pull the motor wires a little tighter. Okay, and then we'll slide that right on up. And that's all our wires, nice and neat. And then we'll smush this down. That's actually really damn good looking. So now we're gonna put a couple zip ties on it. Okay. And then we'll put a zip tie down here at the other end. And I like to come back like a 1/4 inch or so off the end. Okay. So the tool I used for that is this. This is a different one, but the idea is the same. This is, it's basically a pair of pliers that only open at the end and works like that. The tool I actually used is this here. It's labeled 26167FN. Karl Stores, Germany. It's an amazing tool. You squeeze this assembly together and that closes this end, okay, like that, and you can see how tiny it is. And then when it's closed together, you press this to release it. Maybe you can find one of these on eBay. Super useful tool around the shop. I do a lot of model making. I build radio controlled models and stuff, so I use that kind of stuff pretty regularly. All right, now while I'm thinking about it, I'm going to print a new label. And put that on the end of my motor wires so that those are all organized nice. Okay, those are all together and good. That's J2 motor, and then down on the end of this wire, I'm going to put J2 encoder on a label. All right, so the last step is we get to use that hole we embiggened a while ago and feed all these wires through the hole in the J2 motor mount plate. And cram them all in there. All right, I'm going to do all the motor wires first and then the encoder wire. Also, I would totally support taking that hole a size bigger than we did. Ah, it's cramming that in there way too tight. Needs lube or something. I'm going to strip my label off doing it. I'm making that hole a size bigger because there's no damn reason not to. I'm stretching that hole out of size. I got nothing to be gained by keeping that hole the same size, and I'm just going to mess stuff up. So I'm taking it up to a 5/16 and seeing how that feels. It wants a bigger step than that. Yeah, let's go up another size. 5/16 is a little tight. Let's take it up to 3/8. 3/8 is good. I like 3/8, and that's a more substantial jump. 5/16 was barely a jump at all. So I'm going to take this up to 3/8. And I'm doing this right on the robot. I'm not taking it off and messing with everything. I'm just doing it right on here. Just be careful doing it, because if you just run right through, you'll hit your the little limit switch and screw that all up. You don't want to do that. But I'm taking that hole right out to a 3/8 because that'll make it a lot easier to get that cable in there and blow your chips out. So, and we just take this big wad, run that through. No, I got to deburr that hole. Okay, you're going to want to deburr that hole. How's my backside? It's not good, it's not bad. I think it'll be alright because it's not flexing. I don't really have a burr on there. I'm going to touch it with a file just to make sure that everything's happy. Just knock any burrs that might be there off. Feel it with your finger. Yeah, that's okay. And now I'm going to run all the wires through there, and it should be a hell of a lot easier with a hole that big. And by having the hole that big, they're not going to really chafe against the side. Oh God, that's so much better. So much easier. Yeah, 3/8 is the way to go. Pull that gray through there, pull all those through there. Run that all right up and through, and that's beautiful. That looks great. There's our finished work. I like it. I'm really happy how that came out. Look at that. That was a hell of a lot of work to get all that in there, but it was totally worth it. All right. Good job, guys. If you made it that far, I'm proud of you. I really am. If you pulled that off, you are awesome, you are tenacious, and you are motivated, and I am proud of you. When you get this step, send me a picture. Send it to me in Discord, send it to, post it in a comment here. I don't care. I want to see the picture of your sexy, sexy J2 cable routing there, because that is not easy. There's a million little steps on that, and you had to work your ass off to get there, and I am, for one, personally fucking proud of you. You rock. You rock. Good job. All right, I'm going to vacuum all this up and get everything clean. Thank you for hanging out through the awesome episode 19. That was a fair bit of work, but we got there, and it's super cool. I want to thank you for hanging out and watching my videos. I want to thank you for being a part of this, for being a part of the Discord community, and all my awesome commenters and subscribers. You guys are super cool. You're the reason I put all this work into this, is so that I can help you guys make a robot so you can make cool shit and put it on the internet. As always, I'm Chris Boden, and you're not, and we'll see you next time. Thank you. Project Archie, Episode 19, J2 Encoder Extension, Master Sync. Hi there guys, welcome back to the bench. Today for fucking 19. Mark! Hi there guys, welcome back to the bench. Today is Archie Episode 19. God, I'm dumb. I'm just going to set this right here so I can see it. Mark!